So if you haven't been following it, Keemstar called H3H3 out for something to do with the Payday 2 DLC, right? And said H3 was a fraud. Took money that was meant for Fupa and kept it for himself. And so Ethan made a content cop style video, trashing all the toxic shit Keemstar's done over the years, right? And in that, the big thing that I'm focused on for this bit is that he brought up G Fuel, right? His sponsor, Keemstar's sponsor in every video, right? And so in the intervening time, G Fuel has dropped Keemstar, right? Which, you know, is fine. It's their right. Everything else there. And, as popular as Keemstar is, I really wouldn't want to be associated with them as a brand. And since that, a lot of people have been going after H3 sponsors, and H3 has lost a couple as well, right? And so we're gonna get into what is it, Penguin Zoe's video, laying out the big idea coming from this drama going forward with the Twitch community is going after sponsors and adpocalypse 2.0, right? And it's a garbage argument. So we're gonna go look into it. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna tell you why it's stupid. And whatever, right? Go after the sponsors. That's fine, right? If someone's a shit person, you wanna go after them. Go to the sponsors. I'm fine with that, right? If I ever get big enough to where I get sponsors, I'm not a piece of shit online, right? So you can say just about whatever you want about me to. I'm probably never gonna be at risk of losing it, right? It's just like people that complain about, don't try to deplatform like Nazis or whatever, right? Because then they'll just false flag you off the platform and stuff, and that'll happen and stuff. But people like Destiny here, who's debated a lot of all writers and Nazis and stuff. I guarantee, he said he gets reported all the goddamn time, and I believe it. He's still here. He gets banned when he does something stupid, but against TOS. All right, so I'm gonna go quick over that and do a quick YouTube intro for this video. So, all right, YouTube, if you haven't been following along this last week, probably with drama between a couple of big YouTubers, H3H3 and Keemstar, the beef itself, not important. What I find important is the argument that's coming out of it, because H3H3 brought up Keemstar's sponsor. Keemstar lost his sponsor, and now people have gone after H3H3, and H3H3 has lost a couple sponsors. And so we're going to go into the argument that I think is, something to consider.
Yesterday, H3H3 Productions revealed something he's been working on for a long time now in secret, like the fucking Manhattan Project of YouTube drama exposed videos. He released the content nuke on Keemstar. It's 46 minutes of high-octane, full-throttle, nuts-to-butts drama action, and I'll say it's one of the only 40-plus minute exposed videos I was able to watch start to finish without falling asleep. However, it is still just a lot of things that have been covered for years. Everything Ethan talks about is shit people have shit on Keemstar for years, so there's no new information in the video. It's kind of just like an anime lore explanation video for this anime character of Keemstar, like an episode recap. Here's what happened previously on Keemstar being an asshole. Ethan's basically just compiled all the big Keemstar douchebag moments and put them into this video compendium. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that weren't familiar with some of the shit he's done in his past, and Ethan just brought it to their attention. It's just for me personally, since I love to keep up with internet drama and squabbles between internet people, I would have liked to see something new from Ethan. Like maybe Ethan finds a director's cut of Cats that has Keemstar acting in it, and then he exposes Keemstar for being a bad actor and having poor taste in picking the movies he's in. But again, there's nothing wrong with it still just being things that have been covered in the past. The reason I'm even talking about it right now isn't so much because I care about Ethan and Keemstar having internet beef. It's actually what I think Ethan did that I think sets a terrible precedent for the entire platform going forward and could lead to a disastrous future. In Ethan's content nuke, he mentions Keemstar's sponsor G Fuel 8 times, constantly saying things like, "Why is G Fuel sponsoring you? They shouldn't be sponsoring you. This is kind of fucked up that you still have sponsors. How is this possible?" Just implying that he needs to lose his sponsorship with G Fuel, you know? So by implying these things, Ethan ignited his fan base to spam G Fuel, forcing them to drop Keemstar, which happened. G Fuel did drop Keemstar.
So G Fuel wasn't forced to drop Keemstar, right? That was their decision, and that's their right to choose whoever they want to have as their brand ambassadors. Now they probably should have looked into Keemstar's shit before they decided to sponsor him, but you know it is what it is.
And people went wild in celebration. It was like the end of Star Wars Phantom Menace. They had like this huge fucking parade. Medals were given out because they defeated Keemstar, at least financially. They got rid of his biggest sponsor that he's had for many years. And a lot of people say, you know what? Yeah, it is a slimy tactic, because it is. Going after someone's sponsors and employment, that is such a fucked up, low tactic. That's shit you see those Karen, middle-aged Karens on Twitter doing.
I mean, it's not a low tactic. It's not anything like that to go after somebody's sponsor, right? It's a thing that's happened. It's a thing that's been happening. Um, Sponsorships were a thing, right? You know, it's not a low tax. No, don't be a shitty person online, and your sponsors aren't gonna drop you, right? If somebody complains about it.
When they have an argument with someone where they start contacting the employer of the person they're arguing with, trying to get them fired. It's the same tactic that Ethan and his fan base have done to Keemstar. And a lot of people say, yeah, it is kind of fucked up, but it's Keemstar, so we're fine with it. And you shouldn't be. Yeah, Keemstar's done a ton of fucked up shit that definitely deserves consequences, but taking it into your hands as like the arbiter of justice to spam his advertisers to get him to drop him, you don't see how that could be used against you? It's like the same thing for people who are constantly begging for the government to censor the internet because there's things they don't like on it. It's a very slippery slope that can get out of control very quickly. So sticking with
No, it's not. If you're not a shithead online, you're a capable brand ambassador, right? You're not going to get dropped if somebody has a beef with you, right? They make something minor, right? Now, what that is in like the YouTube sphere is going to be way different than traditional media and stuff, right? A little more personal. We'll cuss a little more. We'll do things here, but I mean, even that, if you're not dropping the gamer word, things like that, for the most part, you should be fine.
Keemstar losing G Fuel. Well, him losing G Fuel wasn't enough for the bloodlust of the fan base. Now on the subreddit, they're taking action against Spotify because Keemstar is on Spotify, so now they're lobbying and spamming Spotify to drop Keemstar, another one of his big advertisers. So you see what's happening, right? What Ethan has done is he's given power to the fan base to ruin anyone's career. And what this does is that tells everyone else on YouTube with a following they can do the same thing because
So it wouldn't be the fan base that ruined his career. It'd be Keemstar ruining his own career, right? Doing the toxic shit he's done. And like I said, this video came out before was it Old Spice and Adam and Eve dropped H3H3, their sponsorship there, over things like the iDubbbz episode where he says the N word F slur over and over again and talks about how much he loves it, right? There's probably other things he could easily get him on, but I mean that'd be the big one that's been going around, right? You know, it's funny in a lot of the reporting. If you go and look, it's a lot of actually a lot of white nationalists that are spamming it pretty hard against H3H, which is I don't know if I want to say pretty funny or anything there, because I mean Keemstar has a history of involving himself with white nationalists and white supremacists and stuff. Like made at least 2 appearances on the kill stream that Ethan Ralph does, which kind of took over. If you're familiar with internet lore, YouTube after the handful of channels responsible for internet blood sports, so like Andy Warski, Tonka imploded, their own personal dramas and stuff like that. Killstream kind of benefited at that point, kind of became go to blood sports stream for a while, and he was on there several times, right? Obviously, he's got a history of going way back, playing games and dropping all the time, and so he's got a long history of toxic, awful behavior, being an asshole, and sponsors are willing to put up with working with an asshole, and he gets money from it. That's fine, but not all sponsors are going to do it. And as soon as there's enough backlash or whatever, and they're willing to drop him, that's on Keem for doing what he did without apologizing, without doing anything else.
Because these advertisers are going to cave to pressure. It's very similar to the most recent YouTube adpocalypse, where Matt got a bunch of people together to contact advertisers on YouTube and telling them to drop, which they eventually did, and that fucked a ton of YouTubers and destroyed a lot of YouTube careers. It's the same thing, but now done on an individual level we haven't seen before. Let me tell you.
So, talking about adpocalypse, right? So he's talking about the second adpocalypse. So, but the first one, I mean, most popular YouTuber on the platform, liked his edgy humor to the point of doing the Fiverr stunt for death to G. Hold up that sign on their stuff. That's stuff PewDiePie do, right? He's a big enough platform. Everybody's got their eyes on him. Do it enough, it's going to get reported on. So this idea that we shouldn't bother saying anything about the toxic people, because if we do, it's going to end, in an adpocalypse, or 4.0, whatever we're on right now. But they don't think, maybe the people doing these toxic things that threaten their advertising revenue, hey, maybe we should get them to behave better, right? So that we're not at risk of losing the advertising stuff. Not just, we'll keep them over there so that we can get the advertising revenue as well. We just won't say anything else.
Exactly how this could go. What Keemstar could do, Keemstar could ignite his fan base to spam Ethan's advertisers with Gokanaru's video, The Death of H3H3. In this video, YouTuber Gokanaru does a ton of research and has a very long and thorough video that paints Ethan in the worst light possible. He has a bunch of clips where Ethan's casually saying the N-word, saying some other heinous shit, and doing some things that advertisers might not like.
And advertisers dropped him. Just, hey, for them.
Keemstar gets his fan base to spam Ethan's advertisers with that, and the pressure's enough, they could drop Ethan. Same way G Fuel just did to Keemstar, the same tactic. What Ethan's done is he's opened up this extremely dangerous can of worms. Now, I'm not here defending Keemstar. I'm not trying to white knight him and be his chat mod, deleting me.
But, this isn't something that H3H3 has opened the floodgates for. As has come out since then, Keemstar has a long history of going after sponsors, as recently as, within the last year. I forget how long within the last year, but the middle of 2019, latter half there, he was going after sponsors for other things, right? So, to say, this is the floodgates being opened by Ethan, it's not. It's a long-standing thing ever since sponsorship has been a thing.
Messages and licking the piss off of his toilet seat. And I hate that I even have to clarify that. I think it's pretty clear that I'm not defending Keemstar, but the internet's already going in this way where if you don't agree with everything Ethan did in his video, all of his methods, then you're just defending Keemstar and you're a bad person. I'm saying what's happened to him and what Ethan has started is extremely bad for anyone on the internet. I'll use something from Ethan's video for an example. In Ethan's video, he talked about the time Keemstar falsely accused a RuneScape streamer named Tony of being a pedophile. Well, let's say Keemstar never made that mistake back then. Let's say he made that mistake tomorrow. Tomorrow, Keemstar says, this RuneScape streamer named Tony is a pedophile. And then people hear that, and now with what Ethan has shown them, they say, well, that's fucked up. It's time for justice. So they start reporting that Tony is a pedophile to Twitch, to RuneScape, and to Tony's advertisers and spam the shit out of him until all three drop him, and now Tony has lost everything even though he's done nothing wrong. just because Keemstar made a mistake and his fan base went behind it and started spamming. That's what Ethan has set in motion. Whether the information is right or wrong, whether the person deserves it or not, most people seem to agree that Keemstar deserved it. But this can absolutely happen to someone that truly doesn't deserve it by any possible measure. Ethan's like the Prometheus who brought.
So if you think baseless accusations and claims and allegations put out there against somebody are going to stick. For some advertisers, maybe, and that's going to be part of it. But you know, if Tony had or somebody in Tony's situations had sponsors at that time, or even if it was now, even if his fans, even if he didn't, say go after the sponsors or make it clear about sponsors, which Keem has done in the past, their fans after this information would still come out, would still go and do it, right? Whether he told them to or not, made it clear that that's what he wanted him.
Fire to YouTube comments. He's shown that if you just weaponize YouTube commenters and get them to rally together and spam these advertisers, they will cave to pressure. Giving that much power to a mob mentality and cancel culture is super dangerous, especially on a platform like YouTube, where a lot of people invest their entire lives into a YouTuber. Like, they make their personal identity just being a super fan of a YouTuber, so when that YouTuber is being attacked or engaging in internet squabbles with another YouTuber, now these people can actually do something super harmful to the other side that they might not deserve, making them lose sponsors. And a lot of YouTubers rely on sponsors because the YouTube ad revenue is super all over the place for a lot of people. You can get 1 million views and get 71 cents. So these.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from the adpocalypse, right? Demonetizations. Things that go down there, and limited monetization on a lot of things. But that happened because we didn't do I shouldn't say me because I wasn't on YouTube at the time, but YouTubers didn't do shit to get content creators on their platforms to behave, right? And be professional, right? So you lost the privilege to that advertising money, right? Same is going to hold true to the sponsors, right?
These people do rely on sponsors for their livelihood, and now what Ethan has shown is that you can fuck that as long as you just have enough people doing it for you. Which, I'm super surprised he even did this tactic. Ethan's always been someone that's championed against the kind of cancel culture dogpiling shit. But I guess for Keemstar, he's decided to make an exception and open Pandora's box. It's silly to think that this is going to be isolated to just Keemstar. That's not how the internet works. If it can happen to one person, it can happen to everyone. There's no world where the internet only uses this weapon one time and against one person. This hopefully won't be commonplace, but now that it's been shown to be effective, I can absolutely see a lot of people on YouTube using this against people they don't like, and that's the worst part. Keep in mind, these companies, they're not the moral police. They're not the fucking hall monitors in the school lobbies making sure people aren't running in the halls or chewing gum. These people don't give a fuck. What they care about is if having that person on their roster as endorsed by that company is hurting their image. And if enough people are telling them this is hurting your image, they're just going to drop them. They're not going to do any research. You can take anything out of context, spin any narrative you want, even without evidence, and get people dropped.
I would have to see the evidence on that, right? If you're going to make that claim. I think that about does it. It's going to get a little repetitive as he closes out. There's not much to the argument, but in conclusion, don't be a shithead online, and your sponsors and your advertising isn't going to be at risk, right? But that does it for that one.